located? Right there. No, it's right here.
Right here. This is the C-store.
I want you to look how he packed this creek. He's got both the outcoming line and the incoming line tied to the main sanitary sewer. I mean, that's crazy. And these floor plans don't match the architect's floor plans.
I think y'all just resubmit the whole thing myself.
Well, I am ready.
Yeah.
They forget.
If they're on the way, I guess we could delay them put them to the end, but got a lot of
Did
dead
you get 'em?
airspace here, I know.
They're making some phone calls, apparently they
Okay.
put it down on their schedule, maybe they can make it, I don't know.
Okay, we'll put them at the end. Lot 1 and 2, Longwood.
Morning.
Morning.
I'm Daniel Wooldridge, architect for the project. My office is in Gluckstadt on 464 Church Road. This particular project, Lone Wolf, it's lot 1 and 2. It's the lot that is on the north side of Lone Wolf at the corner of Lone Wolf and Highway 51. We're looking at placing 2 buildings on this site. Approximately each 7,000 square feet. Front of the buildings will face towards Highway 51. The front elevation facing Highway 51 will be brick. On the sides of the building, we'll turn that brick down the side approximately 12, 15 feet. And then from there, we'll transition into a metal siding that will match other metal siding there in the Lone Wolf area. And then the back of the building itself will be metal siding also.
Right.
We do have overhead doors that are on the front. The front, along with some storefront. The spaces will be divided into 3 separate, the 7,000 square foot in each one will be divided into 3 separate units. So we'll have 3 storefronts, 3 overhead doors on each building.
Are these buildings on separate lots?
No, there's 1 lot. He's buying 2 lots, 1 and 2, and forming it into just 1 lot.
Okay.
So they're
you're
setting
you're
together on
combining
the
2 lots into one?
That's
legal-
correct, that's
Okay.
correct.
All right. I didn't see a dividing line, and it's not,
I don't know if I left that line on there or not. If you
it's
look,
okay. No problem. I'm just curious if there's supposed to be another lot attached.
well,
to this.
if you look, running right in front of the building, there's a line going straight down. There's a dot up at the top and at the
Dotted
bottom.
line?
It's a kind of a dash line, yes,
Oh,
sir.
the dash line, yeah.
That's the 2 different properties,
Oh, okay.
but
I got you.
we're forming it into 1 lot.
Okay. I'm just curious.
Oh, okay.
Just curious. I see what you're doing now. Fine, okay. I don't have any questions.
Any other questions?
I move we approve site plan.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it, so it is.
Thank you.
Myers Construction.
I'm the architect for Myers Construction also.
Okay.
Notice you weren't moving away from the podium.
Just gonna hang out right here for a little while. On Weisenberger Road, this is a piece of property that's behind that restaurant that faces Weisenberger. You've probably seen they've been doing a little bit of dirt work out there
Right.
on that site. Jason Myers, the owner of the property, has a construction company. His plans, what he would like to do is place a building on the site that is office warehouse. The back portion he'll use for his business, his office and warehouse needs. And then the front part, he'll lease those out. So it's if we look at the elevations on that, It's all
It's all-
metal siding. There's no brick on the building. The front, back, sides are all metal siding, which is contingent with other buildings in that area. The building that it backs up to is all metal. He will be behind a fence. He's going to place a fence on the front that will shield the view from the street of the side area. And it will have an automatic gate at the entrance. He's doing that for security, for the people that are leasing, that will have anything parked in the lot out front, trailers and that sort of thing. So there's a pond, an existing pond on the site. There is, half the site is a floodway that we can't really touch. We can't add to to the elevation of it. We can't take away from that pond. We can't use that area except for, we can park on it. We just can't raise or lower the elevation of that area. So you can see that line running through the site.
Yeah.
So our building is on the west side of that line, up against that west property line. He has a 50-foot easement on the front to get from Weisenberger to his site, and that's where you see our driveway placed, in that 50-foot easement. So that's also really the access where people come in to get to the restaurant. So if you've been to that restaurant lately, the parking's in pretty poor shape.
Yeah.
And so this will improve that too. That'll help their coming onto the site.
Yeah, the entrance is terrible.
The building, we've got a 10-foot overhang. You can see that on the elevations. If you look at the side elevations, we've got a 10-foot overhang on the front of the building. We also have, if you notice on the front elevation, that little darker strip, that is going to be translucent panels. So we've got metal panels, and the very top will be a translucent panel just to let light into the building.
That's it.
He'll also have overhead doors and storefront on the front of his building.
So he anticipates the lease space just being office and warehouse as
That's
well?
yeah, that's exactly what we're going to be. My colleague in my office is a realtor, and she gets approximately 2 to 3 calls a week, people wanting office warehouse space in the Gluckstadt, Madison County area.
Really?
And we just
got
can't,
enough
we just
of
can't
them
fill
in
them, we can't build them fast enough to fill them. I mean, we got people waiting for these to be built.
Really?
Wait, 2 or 3 calls a week, at least.
Okay. I think it's a good plan, so I guess you'll have an electronic control gate there, so.
We
people
will,
can go
again,
in.
we'll have an electronic control. That's correct. The dumpster will be inside that gate, and it'll only be accessed, in working hours.
Okay.
Any other questions? Any opposition?
Not necessarily any opposition, I just have one question. Is there gonna be any outside storage plan for equipment?
Yeah, well, there's areas, yes, some equipment can be stored outside. Again, it's gonna be behind a fence, a solid fence. It's not a fence that you'll be able to see through. So it won't be visible from Weisenberg.
I entertain a motion.
I move we approve site plan.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. So it is.
I'm not going to.
M&M, you too?
That's mine also. This is a car restoration garage group. The owners are here. They're looking to move up into Gluckstadt. And specifically what they do is restorations of classic automobiles, cars. So what we have is a garage area facing out towards Sywell. we have a secondary building in the back that is specifically for the storage of these classic cars that they're working on. Because they'll be taking these cars apart, and they don't want the pieces and parts just sitting around, so they're not going to store any cars outside, because again, of the classic nature of the cars. So they'll use this secondary building in the back to secure them and place them inside where they're protected. Now, the garage itself is, if we look at the elevations, the front that's facing Sidewell, again, is all brick. Again, we turn that brick down each side for a distance of, in this case, we're going about 8 feet. And then we go to a metal siding. The very back will be metal also. We're using about half of our site. If you look at the site plan, we're using about half the site. The second half of the site will be either for a future expansion or maybe later just a second building that we might do. But
Is there a paint shop in the,
there will be a paint shop inside the building, yes, sir. There's a lean-to or a shed area on the back, and again, that's to keep cars out of the weather. If they move them outside, instead of placing them out in the sun or possible rain, they have a little shed area back there in the very back of the building that they can place them under. The back area is fenced for security reasons. Front area is not. It's just public parking out in the very front of the building.
How'd you come up with a parking space requirement, since we don't have a floor plan?
The parking, the way we looked at it was, we got about 900 square feet of office area in the building.
Okay.
So that's a 1 to 300 square foot ratio. And then on the garage area, I used the same formula we used when we did Capital Body Shop, when we did the parking and all for Capital Body Shop, and at the time, that was the same 300 square foot ratio. So we ended up with requiring on the site 32 spaces, and we have 33. Of course, that doesn't count the area in the very back. We could also,
Gravel area? No.
somebody could park on if they needed, more parking, but they're not gonna need more than that many parking on their
I'm
site.
just curious, it seemed like for the business, it looked like a lot of parking.
It looks like a lot of parking. It probably is a lot more parking than they'll ever need.
They were in need, yeah.
But it's the same ratio that we use for Capital Body Shop. And so that's the same reason I used it on here.
Because if it ever changes owners,
If it changes businesses or something, there'll be plenty of parking for something of that nature too.
Freebie for the next person, huh?
That's right.
Okay.
We're
I'm
not,
just- I'm
we're
just
we're not
curious.
anticipating it changing, but
You never know.
yeah, so.
Yeah, I know. Okay, I'm just curious on,
Any other questions? Entertain a motion.
I move we approve.
Moving, who's
I
second?
move we approve the site plan.
There's a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
So it is, ayes have it.
Thank y'all very much.
You done?
The gentleman that stood and asked the question, what's your name? Okay.
Trying to make a face connection with the name on the carrier.
All right.
I've never met him before.
Representative, and all three of these are together. Fresh Market, Bumpers, C-Store.
Good
Morning.
My name is Sonny Satie. My father had started this project, Dr. Satie, but my sister had to have surgery today, actually, at the Mayo Clinic, so I'm standing in for him.
Which sister?
Monica, about 15 years ago, she had a bad car accident,
Yeah, I remember.
and so she had 28 breaks from her waist down. And
Ugh.
unfortunately, as you're in tears, she's got to go for a tune-up, I guess, for better terms. And I don't know, our architect had produced this. This was a kind of an updated updated site plan. And I don't, this came to me yesterday, you might already have it, you might not, I don't know if you sent it to Scott.
Yeah, we got this.
As you know, my father and I is really in the restaurant business. We have the Fresh Market Cafes and the Bumpers Drive-In. We have several businesses in Madison County. Yeah.
For the people who are watching this online, they can't hear you unless you're closer to them. Stay behind the microphone.
Great. As you know, we're in the restaurant business. Our driving factor, we started this project and obtained a DEQ permit back in 2017 and did things with the EPA back in 2016. We've had this property for some time, and we really would like to put a Fresh Market Cafe at a second Bumpers. If you look at some of the stuff my father submitted, what we'd like to build is very similar to what we built in Brandon on Greenfield Road, kind of, that's why you see a little things about Brandon, because it's a representation of something not hypothetical, but that we've actually built and that you can actually touch and feel and know what it is. And that's what we'd like to do, is to have permission for a site plan approval for especially the Fresh Market, the Bumpers, and of course, the convenience store is a very complementary business to restaurant and dining. So.
Your parking is off,
Okay.
so you're gonna have to make an adjustment to the parking spaces.
Sure. I think he widened them from that next, the new version, he widened the parking spaces out to conform.
Still doesn't meet zoning requirements.
Sir?
Does not meet the zoning requirements, which are 180 square foot minimum,
Okay,
but a minimum 9.5 foot width.
okay.
So that needs to be corrected because that affects the width of your drive-through.
Yes, sir. We can absolutely do that. We have a little additional land, so that's not going to be an issue that we can.
There's also a lack of coordination between the floor plans that you submitted and the actual building that you're showing on the site plan. There's a lot of discrepancies between, especially on the Bumpers building, I think. Is that right, Larry? Between what they're showing on the floor plans and it looked like some additional design work needs to be done before you
Yes, sir.
are along.
We would do that before we actually pulled a building permit to make sure, because this is a dine-in, drive-through only. It's not a Bumpers that has the canopy with the stalls.
Yeah.
We have done one of these in Louisville, Mississippi, and it's been successful. It's a improvement. Yes, sir.
Dine-in restaurant? Okay,
Yes, sir.
because the submittal indicated it was a drive, what do you call car hop type,
Yes, sir.
like
No,
Sonic, yeah.
Bumpers has such a brand name as Bumpers Drive-In. Sometimes if you see Bumpers, you think car bump.
And it's gonna be a pretty good, large scale from what I understand.
Well, right now, this is the only thing that we'd like to develop, this part.
Right.
And as the area develops, we probably can do some additional, so.
Yeah, I see, you got access showing for access to future development. One or two sides of this.
Yes,
thing.
sir.
So it's gonna be an ongoing development for the future, is that right?
Eventually, no plans immediately, but yes, sir. We have additional land, so it makes sense to go ahead and plan for connectivity.
So, I'm concerned about traffic flow in and into these two driveways. We're gonna recommend that county engineer require turn-off lanes.
Sure.
Off Calhoun Parkway because of the traffic.
Yes, sir.
And you're coming around a curve and down a hill. And it's a safety issue in my perspective. So,
We're not opposed to that.
I think that's needs to be something that y'all include in your design going forward. I would recommend that in our motion that the county engineer consider that requirement for turnouts, or turn-ins, I should say,
Yes,
into both driveways of this development. consideration of, of the parking spaces, and the driveways dimensions being corrected, before construction drawings are submitted. And, lanes into the development on both driveways, that I would,
Are you recommending
I
that he
would recommend
resubmit?
it. beg pardon?
Are you saying you recommending that he resubmit with the changes?
I'd be happy as long as it's minuted and he understands
I do.
he's agreeing to these some conditions. I think we could forego another submission.
That'd be appreciated.
Appreciating that there's a lot of work that goes into it, but a lot of design work has got to be done for all three of these buildings.
Yes, sir.
It's kind of hard to cut and paste from
It is.
one site to another and make it all fit, especially in design of mechanical stuff. So, one other question I have regarding your new site plans.
Yes, sir.
It appears the dumpsters are a long way from where they're gonna be needed.
You know, we've done that, like in Brandon and a few other places. It's more of the aesthetics, and we use the little trolleys to move trash now. We don't, it's not a guy that's pulling it out for our restaurants. But, you know, people don't tend to like to have dumpsters near where they eat, unfortunately, or fortunately.
Yeah, it looks like to me, a high inconvenience to the service area of the businesses, but
Yes, sir.
I won't be working there, so I guess it won't matter. So, I don't have any other questions. Gentlemen, I'll make that form of a motion that we approve based on the understanding that they will correct the parking spaces, the driveway widths, and consider a engineer's recommendation on turn lanes into the. Anything else that we need to add to the motion to make it so they don't have to resubmit? I think I prefer to see them go ahead.
You covered it. I think so. I'll second the motion.
Okay.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it, so it is.
Thank you.
President,
Yes, sir.
Magnolia Street School is on the way. I'm not sure if you just want to do a short recess until they show up.
Okay.
That's up to y'all.
Where they coming from?
Ready? Okay.
Coming from Magnolia.
I was gonna say,
I
not from,
expect them to be
not
here.
from St. Louis or somewhere.
All right, we'll recess until they get here.
All right. All right. Gee whiz. Put a lot on our county engineer.